Howdy folks, Todd here with Great Escape Farms. Today I am doing some grafting, and I'm grafting onto some Paw Paw Suckers right here. There are actually about 12 to 15 suckers here, and I'm going to graft on all of them. If some take, great. If not, oh well, no loss. I originally had a grafted named variety here, Susquehanna, and in the graft part, the scion wood ended up dying out. So I had a whole bunch of suckers come up, and I'm going to go ahead and graft onto them, see what takes. And I also have some autumn olive here. Go down a little lower here. Some autumn olive, I'll be pulling that out as well. So just an experiment. We'll see what happens. If I end up with a half a dozen that actually take all right here next to one another, again, another experiment. We'll see how a cluster of grafted pawpaws actually do. Real quick, some of the tools we're going to be using here. So of course, garden shears or garden clippers. We are going to use a knife. I have grafting knives here. And I'll get into the differences between the different knives in a different video, but basically what I'm looking for is a grafting knife that is beveled on both edges so that I can go down the center, because I'm cleft grafting, and I'll explain that more when I get into the grafting part. I have something here called buddy tape, and I have something called garden tape, and I'll have links in the description of this video to Amazon just so you can see what it is. You can purchase it at Lowe's or Home Depot, or you can purchase through the links on Amazon. If you do, we're an Amazon affiliate, appreciate it. And anyhow, I use both of these, and I use this one for strength to hold the actual scion wood onto the rootstock, and this one I use to keep the plant from dehydrating through a process called transpiration. So this kind of holds the water in, helps just to keep a better graft. This one will actually disintegrate on its own. This one I have to go in and untie, or I'll girdle the tree and cause problems with it. So I'll explain that a little bit more once we get into the video here. Is there anything else? Oh, tags. And I don't have a tag here with me, but I will tree tag each one individually, because I'm gonna have different grafts on different stalks coming up, or different rootstock coming up, and I want to know what they are, so I will label each one individually. And I think that's it. So let me run on out, set up, and we'll actually do some grafting. These are Paw Paw grafts that I did yesterday, and I only have, I believe, 29 here out of, I was hoping to do 300, but I had a rootstock issue from a supplier. They just sent me crap rootstock, so I'll never buy from them again. And I have a whole bunch of scion wood left. That's why I'm grafting on suckers. These are my Paw Paw seedlings, and as you can see, let me just show you. I mean, you can see how thin the branches are coming up here. I cannot graft on these. They are just way too small. I need another year or two of growth out of these. So I basically have a whole bunch of scion wood that is just going to go to waste. So I am going to go ahead and graft on suckers and give it a try. If it doesn't work out, oh well, no loss, because the scion wood is basically going to be waste for me this year anyhow. Just as a side note, these are persimmons I did these, I think, 2 weeks ago, and they are just going like gangbusters here. So these are persimmons, and these are C-H-E, and I did these, I think, 3 weeks ago. It's a little slower than what the persimmons are, but I'm very impressed with the persimmons on how well the grafts had taken. And again, I did cleft grafts on all of these, and everything did great. I'm guessing I have a 90% success rate here. I'll have to figure that out, but almost all of them took. Even this one right here, it has a bud that is about ready to break. So I'm very, very impressed with these. So I cleaned out the autumn olive, and I actually ended up cutting one of the Paw Paw Suckers out, and didn't mean to do that. And here are the suckers, some over in the path. I'll give them a try anyhow. Whole bunch right there growing in close together. I have a couple other over here, so I'm gonna clean this mess up. One other thing I forgot to show you tool wise is I made this up. So this is just thin plexiglass, and it's to protect your thumb. So I put the rootstock through here, and you'll see as I'm cutting this, it helps protect so I don't end up with a sliced thumb. So in the last couple weeks, I've done 120 grafts, and I did have one that slipped through, which would have left me a nasty cut, because my grafting knife is very, very sharp, and this protected me from it. you could use, and I've seen them before, probably not so much anymore, but way back when you used to order CDs and DVDs to burn your own, they used to have a protective piece on top, and this is very, very similar to it. So this is, I actually made out of plexiglass, relatively thin. You want it to be something clear so you can kind of see what's going on. So this is our scion wood. Scion woods are just sticks that were harvested in the middle winter. These were harvested in January and February, and they are specific varieties. So I have Davis and Caspian and Mammoth and a number of other things. And like I say, just I probably have 55 or somewhere between 55 and 60 different varieties here, and I was only able to graft 30. So the remaining ones, which are over here on this side, I will try to get as many as I can on this right here. But this is called scion wood, and this is called rootstock. And another thing, you'll notice these are leafed out a lot. I am very late doing this, so that might be another reason why the graft doesn't take. I should have been doing this back in May, and we are at the beginning of July right now, so it's late, but I didn't have a choice. Been too busy with things. So again, more experiments. The other items that I've been doing, the Chi and the persimmon, they're doing great. So hopefully the Paw Paws will as well. Okay, I have found a lucky specimen here, so I'm going to go with this. It's larger, should be easier to do a demo on. So I'm going to cut this branch that's going off here and toss it aside. And I'm going to work with this rootstock right here. And I want to find a piece of scion wood that will match up here somewhere in this area right here. So I'm just going to clip the top off because I know that I'm going to be somewhere below that. And let me find some scion wood here. Okay, this variety is called Mammoth, and I have some that look about that size. So I try to match it up as close as I can. When I pull it out, I'm looking for good buds on the scion wood itself. So another thing I do, oops, let me pull out the straight blade here, and I give a little scratch, and what I'm looking for is bright green here. And that tells me that the cambium is alive. So it's the cambium that we have to match up between the rootstock and the scion wood, and it must be a bright green. If it's a dull green or a brown in the scion wood, usually it means that the scion wood is dead. Murphy, give it a break. Got my dog here helping out. He has lots to say. Let's see, so real quick while I'm at it, on the scion wood, I see that I have a bud right here, and I don't have much to work with. I want more space for my cuts here, and I have a good bud there. So right above this particular bud, I'm going to cut, and that gives me all this space right here to work with. So what I'm going to do is I'm doing a cleft graft, which is just making a wedge. And what I'm looking for is a point right here, as much of this green cambium as I can get here. And I'm trying to do as little whittling as possible on this. And I also want the edges to be somewhat even. And by even, I mean looking this way from here to there. Molly, please don't knock the camera over. I have my rat terriers out here that are helping. Okay, so I have this the way I want it. You can see it's got kind of a wedge shape to it. And now what I'm going to do is come down and find the best spot, which I think is going to be right about here. So this matches up. So the width of the two match up. I will double check again and just give a push. I can go down a little bit lower. So the lower I go, the thicker the rootstock is. Make sure I'm still getting this on camera. Okay, this is a good spot. So what I want to do is lay my thumb guard on top, and I lay the knife exactly perpendicular to the ground here, and I just start whittling, and you can see it moving down. And you want a good sharp knife here, which is the reason you want the thumb guard, because you can cut yourself. And what I did is I created a wedge here. You can see the knife is right in the center, and this scion wood will go right into that wedge. Now what I want is 1 or 2 buds, and in this case I'm going to do 2 buds. So what I'm going to do is I will cut it right here. I will set the other scion wood aside, and this is what I have. I have the wedge right here. The wedge is going to go, of the scion, is going to go into the rootstock like this, and I want to make sure that my cambium lines up as best as possible on both sides, which it does. And hopefully you can see this. I'll bend it if I can. You can see the wedges right here. So what I want to do is I will use the green gardening tape, and I will tie this as tight as I can to make a good connection between the cambium there. And let me find my tape. And what I do is I just cut off a piece here. I hold one end, I start down at the bottom, and that's just my personal preference, and I tie it very, very tight around. And I work my way up. So this is a cleft graft, which is the wedge just going into a slice on the rootstock, and that is one of the easier ways of doing it. I am rather inexperienced at grafting. Like I say, I have maybe 200-300 grafts under my belt, and there are nurserymen out there that do that many in a day, whereas it takes me much, much longer to do that. So okay, so I tie that up nice and tight. That should be giving me a good cambium connection. And I cut off the edges there, and this particular tape, this is what is going to hold on the moisture for me. So, and it just pulls off, I think it's called buddy tape. And again, I'll have links to this, all of the stuff that is available on Amazon, in the show notes. And I just wrap it around, and you give it a tight, not too tight, but a bit of a pull to stretch it. And just go around, and it kind of sticks to itself real well. So we'll do another one here. And a lot of people, I actually had, my daughter's boyfriend was over this past week who's interested in this kind of stuff. And he asked, he's like, well, you're covering up the buds here. Well, the buds will actually go ahead and push right through there, and that won't be a problem. So through the buddy tape here, they'll push right through. Okay, the last step is to label this. So I have some tree labels here. I don't think I got these from Amazon. And I have something called a garden marker here, and you don't want to use a Sharpie here. A Sharpie in sunlight will fade in less than a year. The garden marker will last many, many years without fading. And what I will do is I will write Mammoth on here. And very sloppy handwriting, writing on a log like that, but it just Mammoth, and then the date, 7/3/24, which is today's date. So I will go ahead and put that on. And as I graft each one of these, I will write on what it is and when I did it, just for my personal purposes. Okay, and with that, based on things going on and the dogs wanting to bark and everything, I'm probably just going to go ahead and do all this, and I'll show you the finished product once we're done here. Okay, this is a wrap for this project. We ended up with 16 total grafts here. So starting with 3 out front here, most of them clustered in the back. Some of them had to go way higher than I wanted, but that's the size scion wood I had, and I had to match it up with the size of the rootstock. And I have one there, and I came all the way out over here and found one. So they are kind of all over. I cut out most of the suckers that were too small. I still have one right here, and I'm sure I'll get some that'll pop up. And if they're far enough away, I may end up leaving them and graft on to them another year. But that's it for this video. I'll give you an update sometime next year, let you know how many of these took. Thank you very much for tuning in, and have a great day.